And we're rolling.
Can you see both of us?
Sid, can you see both of us?
Are you gonna eat this? Is this from Fred Sing?
Is that from Fred?
I was on the desk.
Here, let me just.
Hit us with a 10-second countdown.
I was gonna say that is a little broken, so just be careful with it.
Well, okay, yes, you can see both of you, like enough.
Stop it.
All right, hit us. 10-second countdown here. You're gonna look at these huggies.
Well, you know it's recording already, right?
No doggy eye boogies. Ready?
Yes.
The Coach's Chat is back, Gail. Episode 8.
You're not gonna eat the orange?
Not during.
I mean, little nibble.
Nibble.
I had a pear. It was delicious.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Classic Gail. Gail, where do you want to start today?
Let's start. Well, I think it's because we are so immersed in the one, nutrition kickstart, and two, because I think it's so fresh on our mind with people coming up to us about the grocery shopping challenges.
Yeah.
You know, and we just even said, I mean, we go there, I feel like because it's so accessible and it's right there, we notice it maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the first thing you notice when you walk in? You get the heat blasted in your face, you go get a shopping cart, and what's to the right?
Cookies, chips, trash, processed food.
And it's always really inexpensive. It's like 2 for $5. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, the brainwashing of cheap food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So challenges with grocery shopping when you're trying to be healthy, lose weight, feel your best, stay on track. You know, some of these challenges are going to be obviously location of things, and that's strategic operation from the grocery store, the design of the store, things at certain height of your eye level, the color scheme, how far certain things are away. I have to walk all the way to the corner of the store to get the milk or the eggs and go through all these temptations. What you said was like
Remember I asked you, I said, when you went to the grocery store, and I was like, can you pick something? I was like, but it is all the way across on the other side. Yogurt. To go in there, if I need to just get yogurt, it is a long walk.
You gotta sort through the temptation. Some other stuff could be going hungry and maybe impulse buys, like you just talked about. There's cookies or there's things there that if you're in that state, or just if you're not in that state and just buying things on impulse, giving into temptation. We talked about this. We laughed. Like I would challenge myself by walking down the chip aisle to test myself, because salty would be my kryptonite, but not giving in. What do you think are some other challenges?
I think it is the price points too. I think I've heard a lot in the past, and I'm sure you have too, is that eating healthy is expensive.
I think that is a belief people, or a thought people give to themselves, because it's so accessible and easy to go to like McDonald's and eat trash for $7 when we think eating healthy can be expensive. It can. It doesn't have to be. Maybe you just need to revisit your strategy and how you're approaching eating healthy.
That's a great way to do it. And then think about it, like things that are processed. They're processed in high volume in factories, and that's the reason why it's afforded to be able to be priced so cheap. Produce and chicken and beef, and especially if you're going maybe organic or grass-fed, yes, of course it's going to be, because of the quality of the product and the labor behind it to be brought to you. So if you go to a farmer's market, every once in a while Shawn and I will splurge and we'll get something like locally, which is really nice, like local fruits and vegetables and meats. Of course it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it doesn't have to be what people might put like a price tag to. You're going to get the quality that you pay for.
This is a thought here is, I think it's so easy with food like that's cheap, convenient, and unhealthy, in that realm processed, and to convince ourselves that eating healthy is expensive. Yet we are going to pay for that later, somewhere down the line in health. And I always keep this in the back of my mind in terms of a reference. So Britt, my girlfriend, is a nurse, and she's in this particular department, and she won't share obviously what she can't share, but when she would bring up certain situations, I would always ask her out of curiosity, well, how does someone get to this point? And 99% of the times it's poor lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. So choice, decision on things.
Mm-hmm.
And one last little caveat that we'll talk about, maybe some tips to succeed, is a member who I work with in nutrition caught on to this. The soft lies we tell ourselves. I think people convince themselves they eat good because they have a somewhat of a balanced dinner. They start their day with processed stuff or cereal or something in that vein, or not
Grab
good.
milk.
Yeah, they have something middle of the day that's less than ideal, or they skip it, and then they have some sort of good dinner, maybe some ice cream or something or whatever after, something or some snacks or whatever. But because I had that dinner, I eat good. And when you span it out for the week, it's like they think they're 80-20, and really you're probably 30-70 if at best. And that soft lie is huge. So go ahead.
Tips to succeed. One for anything is preparation. Make yourself a grocery list.
Yeah.
And that is, I used to never do that, and a husband, Shawn, is a planner, and he likes to write it out. And once we started doing that, I was like,
you and I think both do this as well. Write the list in the way you're gonna map out the store once you know your journey. So it's like, okay, like I know my list.
I know too.
Apples, lemon, it's like all these fruits, all these veggies, and goat cheese, and then like it's mostly perimeter outside of maybe once in a blue moon having to grab olive oil or rice. So that's another one, is shop the perimeter. Most of the stuff we don't want or want to stay away from is going to be in those center aisles.
Yeah.
Another little one is don't go hungry. Going hungry is going to really increase temptation and impulse buy. So limit that.
Yeah, I always like to think too, I do like a little variety, and I know that you said that like sometimes like on the weekends you and Britt will make dinner together, but I know my three vegetables that I like together are string beans, cherry tomatoes, and mushrooms. And so if I know that like I want to plan that for 2 or 3 days, it's like buying in bulk, or like reminding myself that I'm going to have that like 3 or 4 days. And then my other 2 combination is like carrots and broccoli and asparagus. Like we'll do that. So it's like planning what you're going to. That's one step further. Planning what you're going to have for the week, so you know, and it just makes the decision-making process that much easier. We don't skew like one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think maybe 2 more is like buy in bulk, so it limits maybe your store trips. Like I usually will go to the store twice a week, because you go through fruits and veggies pretty quickly. We get now a meat subscription, which is a game changer. But buying in bulk is super helpful. And then also limiting your purchases of, let's call them less than ideal foods. And when I say less than ideal, it's like, would you eat this every single day at every single meal? If it's Tostitos, or if it's cookies, if it's like DiGiorno pizza, no. And you shouldn't at a core level. So limiting those, and if that's like a big bulk of your purchase, it might take some time to just slowly decrease, like one less item, to where it's filling up to the right stuff.
Yeah, I do like to buy in bulk. I do go twice a week as well, but I don't want to run out of things because it makes me like so sad. Like if I run out of coffee, oh my gosh, I get so sad. If I run out of yogurt, or if I run out of now my favorite thing to put on my yogurt is like mashed pistachios. So like we ran out of pistachios, and I was like, now I need to get more pistachios. So it's like just a little bit more planning ahead.
Yeah, buying in bulk saves that too.
Yep.
This kind of ties into the next arena, and we talk about this a lot with people. I think there's a confusion between these two. They're cousins, so to speak, but the difference between motivation and discipline. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
You kick it off.
Okay.
Because I feel like you went a little, like I've thought about it, but I feel like you went a little deeper with it.
For sure. In the realm of fitness, in the realm of nutrition, if we keep it here, and even maybe some other things, I hear a heavy emphasis from people on motivation. I'm just not motivated, or maybe I do get motivated, but that doesn't stay. So I think a deeper dive of understanding what motivation is. Motivation is something external, and it could be tied to a goal, a reward, or a desire. It is external, and understanding it's an emotional thing that's going to fluctuate. It will not always be there. Some days it might be strong, and sometimes it might be weak. And we could pertain that to the desire to work out. That's not always going to be there. Okay, eating consistently and healthy, that's not always going to be there. So if you rely on motivation, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Okay, it's a short-term thing. So that's motivation. Now, different is discipline. Discipline is something that comes internal, and it's about building consistency over time and kind of mapping that with a routine. And the biggest caveat here is it is thriving on structure and doing the thing or said thing or the thing you need to, whatever it is, regardless of feelings or external factors. And I think that right there is the most challenging part for people. But I don't want to. Well, no shit, you know? Sometimes you're not gonna want to. And that's the kind of game with comfort, is we can't always live in that comfort bubble of, you know, what we want to do. So in thinking of discipline, it's something that takes time to build up, to work up to, and recognizing if there's an arena of my life and my discipline muscle is weak, I'm just starting working out, or I'm just starting to make changes in nutrition. One, giving yourself grace, working on that, recognizing the small wins that you build and you stack in that arena, and it will literally change your life, becoming a more disciplined human. And I will share this, being one myself, life is much easier once you're disciplined versus relying on motivation. I'm a very disciplined individual, and I still will share, there are times I don't want to work out. There are times I don't want to eat that meal and would rather go to bed or whatever, but I know I need to eat that meal. And many other arenas of my life. And it boils down to doing the thing regardless of how I feel about the thing, knowing that's gonna move me towards a better self thing, optimal, whatever it is. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this, you know, so.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, motivation is like, I want, a motivation could be somebody comes to us and wants to fit in a dress for a wedding in a year or something like that. And like, that's the motivation. I want to physically change something to, you know, whether it's, I want to lose 30 pounds, I want to get really fit, I want to be strong, I want to look good for this, you know, said thing, right? And then how many times have we heard, I've done this over and over and over again. I've started my fitness journey and I've stopped. I've started, I've stopped. I've started, I stopped. And it's interesting when you dive deeper with somebody on like the whys, you know, it's like, whether it's, I don't see results right away, or I'm not fully immersed in it. You know, I start a fitness journey, but I only come one time a week, and then all of a sudden 4 to 6 weeks later, I'm like, why is nothing happening, you know? So it makes sense to be like, sure, there's motivation, you want the thing, but what are you willing to do to get it?
Deeper too, I'm glad you brought that up. Deeper too, you ever heard of the 7 whys?
Probably, but
it's when you think you want something, I want to fit in that dress, why? And you're gonna likely get this core surface level, right off the cuff answer. And that's there, but it's not the true why. It's 7 layers deeper. And I think if we're real with ourselves, we get real and understand and get to the why and attach to the why too. That, the driver of that, versus like, if we're attaching to something very, I'm gonna get, I'm gonna look better and I'm gonna get compliments. That's not strong enough. Versus I wanna fit in the dress because ... You experienced that with your wedding day. I'm sure it wasn't just, I wanna get compliments. It very layered if you whittled it down to how you knew yourself and what you wanted to feel and experience on this day that you'd remember for the rest of your life. Truth in that?
Of course, absolutely.
Right.
I wanted to be able to like reflect on the pictures and know that.
And what? Go back, reflect on the pictures and feel what?
Like that.
Be honest with us and all the people. You wanted to look back at them and feel what about yourself?
Oh, I wanted to feel great about myself. I want to know that I worked hard to.
And if you did, I don't mean to interrupt you. And if you didn't,
I'd be
would that be pain? So think about what we're getting to it now. And I remember that's one of the reasons you initially came is like, hey, I want to fit into this dress. So like that's what I'm talking about, getting down and down and down and down. Because the example there is I'm going to see this photo, or have the opportunity to see this photo for the rest of my life, and I want to remember this and be proud of myself and feel XYZ for myself, versus disappointment and the pain of, you know, if I had it.
For sure.
You know?
And you know, I saw this, I think it was yesterday, and I feel like it's all over algorithms if we're looking at something on Instagram, but it's way too easy to give up. It's so easy. It's so easy, especially when we make changes. And you know, open and honest, in our nutrition kickstart, people have expressed their challenges already. You know, you're going from not cooking to always grab and go to cooking. You're going from not eating enough protein to all of a sudden, you know, like getting 1.5 times the amount. You go from, you know, not paying attention and being mindful about the timing of eating to now I'm paying attention. I had somebody write in and says, it's a little stressful, being open and honest, it's a little stressful to me to constantly think about what I'm doing and like what I have to eat for my next meal, and concentrating on more, which is very interesting, which means we were not paying attention to it all. We were just...
For sure. I'm so glad you said that. To me, if that person's goal is anything about like weight loss or health or anything in that realm, they need a slap of truth. Like, of course, it's a focus right now. It won't be forever at this level. It's a shift. And like you just pointed out, it was probably so away from your focus, and that's what got us here. That's what got us to this point where we asked for help. You're calling right now for help. That's where we got to, and it doesn't need to be stressful. And then we'll talk about this later when we talk more about like the mental side of things. If we label it that will become our experience, versus the amazing tool of reframe. Reframe that. Reframe what, and like that's what for me is like that person in that moment is like, reframe your experience. Right now it's like, instead of, oh, it's stressful and it's overwhelming, it's very present on my mind. Yeah. Because you came and you're focusing on X, this particular goal, whatever this focus is, and it's new. And when you start anything new, there's challenges and adaptations. Take a breath.
And I relate too. I remember starting the fitness journey, especially with, you know, coming here and doing CrossFit. And at that point in time, it was, you know, high volume, and you're always sweating, and you're always like kind of laying down at the end. But I remember getting very caught up in it, and then it almost taking over a little bit, and getting a little stressed out about paying attention to when I was going to go to the gym, and if I skipped a day, what would happen, and if 2 days went by, what would really happen. And I, like, the reframe helped so much. It doesn't have to be like that. And again, when we touch upon it at the end, it's all about the language and what you choose to say to yourself and what the story that you tell yourself.
Yeah, deeper layered here, and what you just mentioned too, is improving our emotional and thinking IQ. Because I'm creating stress. Nothing is inherently stressful. I'm creating stress. I'm telling myself this. And if I step back, challenge the thought, reframe the thought, improve all that stuff, it's very easy to do, except if we don't actively and be a participant in that, we're gonna stay, say like down here at kindergarten level, monkey brain level, survival brain level, because the brain wants to keep us that way. So this kind of, you know, we talked about motivation and discipline, and the key between those two is marrying them for balance to create synergy to help us achieve our goals. And kind of ending there, what I thought would be helpful to kind of elaborate and talk about too, keeping in the nutritional realm and maybe the mental health realm and communication realm is, so speaking about marrying, let's dive into two people in the same household with different goals, okay? Challenges, things we've experienced, maybe ourselves. I can relate to a story back when I was dating a girl that I'll share here in a moment, and stuff that obviously we see in this space that provide challenges, and then tools and tips and strategies of how to make strides of improvement.
I've been in the same, I can relate to and share a little bit later, but real raw, it hits me deep when somebody says that they feel as though they take 2 steps forward and maybe 3 steps back because they don't feel like they have the support system, right? And if 2 people do have different goals, one person is on a weight loss journey and maybe someone just is not interested in paying attention. They want to continue to eat whatever they want to eat. They don't want to exercise, but someone really wants to. What can happen is twofold. That person that's on a journey just gives up. They try and try. I've had many folks that will start cooking healthy, start paying attention to protein, start bringing in vegetables, and a partner or a kid or someone in their household being like, I'm not eating that. I don't want to eat that. Like, where's the old cooking? And that can really just be such a bummer, especially when one is really trying to make some positive changes and the other is just a little close-minded or just has no interest in doing that. And what can happen?
A lot of bad stuff. Number one, the biggest thing is there starts to become this gap between you two. This gap because number one, and the biggest, is a communication breakdown. Whether we feel unsafe to truly share our truth and be heard or whatever the dynamics are, but communication breakdown leads to distance and the polarity just pushing away from each other, and no one wants that. Some challenges could be, again, kind of tapping into them. It's we have different motivations. I want to lose weight and you don't care. I want to lose weight and you just want what tastes good, that you're used to, I should say. And these things can have influences on our habits, our behaviors, good and bad. The thing that I think what you're mentioning too, being a classic feeler, is that lack of emotional support is gut-wrenching for that person and really keeps them small and from ever experiencing this best, vibrant, most optimal version of themselves that they want to move towards. Because for whatever reason, if it's someone trying to keep them small intentionally, not supporting them, challenging the economics around it, challenging
That's a big one. Time. Challenging economics and challenging time. Why are you spending so much money on this?
Because I'm bettering myself.
Why are you spending so much time in the gym? Why do you have to go to the gym?
I repeat. Here's a deeper layered thought that I haven't shared offline before this. And this is just thought. If one person is actively working to become their best self through exercise, regular training, and eating, and the other person could care less, and they're maybe not the most healthy, and maybe they're not in a place with themselves, but they've given up or don't care. When one starts to make that stride, and what you're mentioning, the why, the time, the economics, and always challenging it, my belief is that person wants to keep me small, because as I expand and the butterfly starts to leave what's the caterpillar to butterfly analogy, what I'm saying?
I can't think of it. Darn.
Spread your wings, expand, fly, become a more empowered version of yourself, see your beauty or feel your strength again of yourself, look in the mirror, whatever it is. And this person, maybe it's, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose that loss of love, or how it makes me really feel about myself. And I don't want to do that, or I'm not ready to do that. These sorts of deeper layer things are, my belief, they're always at play. And that comes to communication. If we're a team, if we're a marriage, a partnership, we're gonna be in this together, we must come together. Or competing with one another. It's my belief, we should want to see each other succeed. We can have totally different goals. You can want to lose 30 pounds and be on that journey. And I could be totally content. And how do we come together and you work on that, me support you? What support do you need? And for me, being okay and wanting to maintain and not really lose weight, or being happy with the food, that sort of communication, and being a great partner. So the reevaluation of that.
I know. And then I remember long ago, a woman came and wanted to start her fitness journey, wanted to combine the both nutrition and fitness because she wanted to really like just expedite the process. And husband was just like an innocent bystander and just kind of like a product of that, where it was, she wanted to start cooking healthy, so she's cooking for him. And then all of a sudden it was like what happened? Like the gentleman, the husband, was starting to lose, and then he, you know, kind of saw that the wife was going to the gym 3-4 days a week. So, you know, he started going to the basement and doing some, you know, like exercise and bringing into like fitness into his routine. And she, again, it could go one way or the other. She was just so happy. She was like, he didn't even try. It was just me doing it, and he was just a product of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where on the flip side, unfortunately, it could be, which again we've also seen, is I'm doing all this work and, you know, you're not even trying, and all of a sudden, you know, this is happening. So partnership, you want to have the support within each other, you know?
Yeah, quick fun fact. Men will lose it faster than women. It's just kind of, I think, that by design, in most cases. And I know that can be frustrating, or I would imagine, excuse me, it would be frustrating, especially if the goal is to lose and I'm just helping or like being a contributor and being on your team. But it's not competition. It's, hey, good for you. Like, how does that feel?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm on my way too. And that's important. And I think to circle back to this before we go into tips, what sorts of things come out of this? One, it may not work. That was my experience. And if I go back to a girl I dated when I was younger, she always, same thing. Why do you go to the gym so much? And it was this never coming together to understand my values.
Mm-hmm.
And this person didn't work out, and it just did not work out long term. So not working out could be a real thing. Two is settling and being really unhappy. And maybe there's areas in my life I'm happy, but then I go to this home and I just have to settle. I have to settle for the version of myself that is not the version I want to be, I desire to be, but I'm gonna sacrifice to make you happy, which I feel is a really low standard, just my opinion. What would be another, I had one more.
Well, those are two strong ones. They're definitely two
They're
strong
the
ones.
real ones. They're the real ones.
You know, I can't really, those are the two that
I guess
stand out.
I guess the third would be, unless we come together, challenges amongst one another,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, again, I want to move towards, oh, I love you. I want to move towards this optimal version of myself, and you're not supporting it, and it kind of just bridges we stay together, but we're just, you know, it's clunky.
Mm-hmm.
So here are some tips to begin to bridge that gap. And again, it's not overnight. It's just like discipline, doing it when you don't even feel like doing it.
Yeah, communication definitely is.
That is number one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big thing with communication, I love the area of communication. I love deep diving in communication, and it's an area that I'm always actively working to improve and create awareness from here to my personal life in all areas. The mistake in communication here to go and tell. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a misfire on our part. If you're feeling something here, I would recommend first asking permission. Hey, can we sit down and have a discussion? I want to share some things, or I want to come together on something that just doesn't feel right with me. And if you love me and this is a union we're going to work towards, of course you're going to meet me there. Mm-hmm. Then I can say, I can share what I feel my experience has been is X, because that's my feeling and that's my view. What's yours? And let's learn from each other, and then maybe come together to say, well, how do we best support one another here? What does that look like? What steps can we take? Because this isn't working. This doesn't feel good or right or what either of us wants. Maybe it's clarifying why I do go to the gym as much as I do. And at my why, it's because it helps me feel amazing, keeps my confidence up. I have friends there, and it's the one part of my day I don't have to think about other people or kids or things, and I can focus on myself.
How many times do you hear someone saying, like, this is for me, like, this
There's
is
that.
me, you know?
And then the nutrition, right, is maybe I don't want to tell you this because I would never want you to be less attracted to me, but I don't like what I see in the mirror. And that's for me. And you could tell me all day to my face, but you're beautiful, but you look great. I love the way you look. I have to love it first. I have to love it first. And it's great that you feel that way. That makes me feel happy. But if I'm not, isn't that important? So that's why. So first is this communication. And again, you may say, or you may, oh, it's strong. That is the key right there. A couple others.
So the boundaries, for sure, you know, I was just listening to you and I was like, if you came to me with that, I'd be like, anything you need. I support you in your journey. But what happens if someone doesn't meet?
Well, I love that. Actually, so you said you feel open to wanting to support.
Mm-hmm.
What would I say to be the complete opposite? What would it take? Like, give me an example.
For me to feel the complete opposite?
Yeah, to shut down and be like...
Well, I can share a story. I've been in a partnership where I was like, you know, I let myself go. Mm-hmm. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I look in pictures. I don't like how I look at my skin. I need to, like, you know, get my routine back in. I have to start eating healthy. Well, you don't need me. You can do it. Like, what do you need me for? And it was
that feels like crap.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, I do need you.
What did you feel? What emotions did you feel from that being the answer?
Completely, totally, like, shut down and shut out, and like that person wasn't hearing me. You know how important being heard is, like, for me. Like, I want you to hear me, or take a second and like look and feel what I'm feeling for a moment. And to be honest,
Coach's chat is getting deep.
You just know that because
I love this. Like, part of me secretly loves this because I love this arena.
Sure.
And I know people don't talk about it enough. Mm-hmm. We all walk through it. Like, you see stuff on Instagram or whatever outlet, mm-hmm. or people in general, and you think everyone's got their together, and no one's got their together. Where we can all learn and benefit. And I think talking about it more is going to be helpful, because I guarantee you more people will struggle here than not.
Oh, of course. That was, and you know, and to be honest, like, I just didn't want to do it. If you're not going to help me, then I'm not going to do it. Like, it's too, I was at a point, and there are some people like that I was just at a point where I was like so off the tracks that it just felt like it was going to take so much of me to get back on. Like, I wasn't able to do it myself.
A lot of pain.
Yeah. So it's like I needed like the help. I needed the extra hand, and I just didn't feel supported, or, you know.
Yeah.
Which is
so rough. It goes back into, you know, communication and how you were met, and obviously then the feelings that come from that. So that's a big one. We can respect each other's differences. Mm-hmm. Go back to that same scenario. I hear you. Okay, that's maybe, you know, thinking of what you're referencing. Knowing that's your goal, and that's where you want to move towards, and that's not something, maybe, like, I could see where we'd be different. We would maybe have different places where we're at with that nutrition. How do you think we come together in this household then?
Mm-hmm. Or what do you need from me?
What do you need from me? Yeah, that's the partner question, is what do you need from me? Respecting that you may be on this weight loss journey, or whatever that journey may be, and I might be totally cool over here drinking beer, whatever, you know. Compromise. I learned this, again, Britt is one of my greatest teachers, in a way that, not sacrifice, but compromise of finding your way lovingly to meet in the middle. Are there, like, I had a session with a gentleman the other day, and I thought this was beautiful. When his wife wants to do any sort of move in a direction, he just jumps on board to support her. And I think, man, like, it's a compromise for him, and whether it's like the adjustment of eating, but like, it's out of love. Where, like, what you're mentioning, that wasn't a compromise. Mm-hmm. It was do it on your own, and like that led you to see more pain of all the stuff you had to do, and you had no help and support.
I think that's like what Shawn does. Like, he compromises.
Right. So what I think I was referencing, and maybe you could elaborate to the channel, is like, you have a partner who, like, you're in the health and fitness space, mm-hmm. coach fitness, nutrition, mindset, all this stuff. You've been in it for a while, and your husband has a different career field. He has a different sort of lifestyle, yet from what I've seen, experienced, and what you share, man, he, like, you watch this, gold stars here. You know, you guys communicate, you have respect amongst your differences, you compromise, and you're great at support for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the ways that looks for you guys?
Well, he, you know, because we have different schedules, it's really, he helps me with like grocery shopping or a little bit of meal prep. And
What a stud.
I know, he's so good. And he'll usually make dinner because sometimes my, you know, my day will extend into like, you know, the 7:30 time slot. And he'll always make sure something, like, he knows my focus is on protein. He knows that I love, like, you know, vegetables, and he does too.
I think you're making a lot of women jealous out there.
I know, I'm sorry.
Don't need to apologize. It's
But
the
of
standard, men.
But he has, again, different lifestyles. So like my focus in the morning, like I want to make sure that I eat. So on the weekends, if we're both home, you know, my mindset is like I get up, I have my coffee, but I have to, you know, I want to make breakfast and I want to have something in the morning. I don't want to let a lot of time go on. And where he is like, he's just not hungry. And, you know, if we're just, you know, at different...
Respecting the differences.
Exactly. Like after different timings, I was like, you know, sometimes it's like feel funny and be like, well, are you okay? Are you okay if I just make breakfast for myself and eat? And he's like, no, go ahead. But that's the balance. And I know that, you know, he's on the road for deliveries on like a weekend and has to pick up Stewart's cheeseburgers. And, but you know, that's the lifestyle, and he doesn't bring that into me where I might feel if like he's eating something bad and it looks or smells like, you know, like delicious, and I have that temptation. He doesn't bring it around, which is great. You know,
Yeah.
I told you that I think we said this a couple of times ago. We joked he loves ice cream, and I was like, great, have the ice cream, just don't bring the flavors that I like it. So I love chocolate, and if like the chocolate is there, like I'll be like, give me a little spoonful.
Temptation.
But you know,
Yeah.
but really, really a nice little balance. And I just, of course, I say that I just want that for everybody.
One of the things, and I want to talk about Britt and how we make this, like the steps we take towards this. But one of the things, maybe this is important to share, one of the things I took away from my recent Texas trip is relationship check-ins. And regardless of time, experience together. And this speaker was sharing, okay, you're all business owners in this room. You look at your business, you look at your like metrics, you know where you want to go, blah, blah, blah. And you have a vision for the year or 3 years, blah, blah, blah. Who's doing that in their relationship? Who's sitting down every week? And he was strong in his response. And sitting across from their wife or their husband and saying, how are you doing mentally? How did I show up for you last week? What do you need from me? These questions. And it's the active pursuit of working on these things, and it's not work, it's coming together to improve, to show up, to self-assess and reflect, because I love this person, I want to be with this person, and then you bring in the goals or whatever this may be. I think that is a really important thing to drop right there.
For sure.
And in whatever way that works for you and your partner.
Yeah, and
you know?
I would imagine, you know, that's not us, we're sharing because it's available. It's available.
For anybody.
And I'm sure you said too, like it took work. For Shawn and I, it took work. You know, he wasn't a big communicator in the beginning, and I'm like an over communicator. But meeting that way, and now I told you, one of my favorite things to do at the end of the night, whatever time it is sit at the counter and have dinner.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's at 5 o'clock. Be like, I want to talk.
It's 5
I
a.m.
want to talk. And he's trying to
Don't
slay
give
me.
up my secrets.
Real quick on Britt and I. She is a superhero to me. But so say I'm at her house on the weekend. We'll try, if our eating timing is similar, she'll say, hey, like, when do you want to eat? Like, when are you thinking? Is your body ready? And I'm like, I'm not there yet. And I'll say, maybe like in an hour. She's like, okay, I'll wait. Sometimes. If she's super hungry, she'll go in. But it's like, she checks in, which I think is just incredible, right? And we'll do that for each other. When say she's making a meal, and like you said, we mix it up. It's usually, we definitely get a lot of fish in on the weekends. And she's
I'm
so
coming
good.
over.
Come on over. She knows too. She's like, she's getting this down to a T, and I love this about her. She's like, she knows the amount by eyeball now. Like, okay, you eat a lot, and like I'm over here, I'm gonna have like half of it, you know? But so she'll do that, and she, I think, really drops her carb intake just naturally, and she'll know like maybe my last meal will have rice. And so it's that forward thinking and that care, knowing your partner too. Or if she's over at my house and I'm making something, and ask the questions, whatever route we're going, and so I think that like finding a way of how we can work together at this, and be a team. So the theme there, again, I think communication is the underlying tone.
Yeah.
And the last. Actually, let's go quick myth buster. This is gonna be like a 10-second myth buster.
Oh.
We're gonna bust a myth in 10 seconds. Ready?
I actually just did that today.
What's that? A myth buster?
I busted this myth.
Who thought that? Well, we don't say who, but someone thought this was a.
Yeah, I want abs. I do 100,000 sit-ups a day. No, just kidding. But go ahead.
The belief is sit-ups equal ab muscles, and that's the myth. The truth is they strengthen the abdominal muscles. To visibly see them, we go back to the kitchen and all the things we need to be doing there consistently over time. And I was having a conversation with Sydney before we jumped on here. The discipline it takes to get there, most people don't have. And if you do, you've likely been in a deficit, tracked your macronutrients, and been eating really well and kind of got your ducks in a row. And I don't say that as to be rude or to be disrespectful or even disheartening. It takes a level of yourself that you may not know, but to ask upon to get there. Mm-hmm. So you could do sit-ups all day. You could do toe to bar all day. You could do GHG sit-ups all day. And you may not still see them if your eating isn't dialed in. So if you really want to visibly see them, it's next level stuff.
I saw something that said, by doing sit-ups, you get better at sit-ups.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. Last topic, near and dear to my heart, is we talk a lot about health, the health spectrum, fitness, and what I wanted to kind of end on as some gentle reminders, nuggets, exploration, is the mental side of that, and making sure we're planting the seeds of ways we can optimally be taking care of ourselves. And we'll jump through some basics like exercise regularly and sleep, and then maybe some stuff that works well for us. Like I know you well, like the back of my hand. You need to talk. You need to talk to me, to your girlfriends. You need to tell Shawn I need to talk at 5 a.m. Yeah, you laugh because you know it's true. I just want to talk. But that's a part of it, is having outlets. And where are your outlets? And notoriously, like I'll share a mistake of mine that you know me so well too, where I wouldn't go to my outlets and I would internalize. And that internalize was like a storm brewing, and things would stack and stack and stack for me, whatever it would be. And you as a loving friend would be like, I can tell when that's happening for you, because there's a shift and these things come out of it. And for me, it was like a good look in the mirror moment to say, this way is a way. It doesn't have to be the way or the main way I go. And I don't want it to be my main way. And I want to make strides of improvement as a human. And that's leaning into the vulnerability to say, hey, you, whoever, wherever the outlet of choice is, I'm feeling X. I don't know why, or whatever it is, and unpacking it. Mm-hmm. I think that's huge, whether that's a therapist, whether that's a spouse, whether it's a friend. And again, set them up for success. Hey, can I just offload and share? I'm not looking for advice. I just want to just outpour and get this off of me, because there's a releasal in that. And I think that's huge. and setting someone up like that, because a fault that you, me, and maybe people in this space can have is we problem solve all day.
Mm-hmm.
We help people all day. And then sometimes, most oftentimes, people just want to be heard.
How many times have you heard, like, I don't need to be told what to do, I just want an ear?
Right. And especially our significant others,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, maybe it's just, I want to share something, and like we, you know, making these tweaks all day or helping people, or they're coming to us with a problem. It's like,
Imagine what it could feel like if you come to somebody and you got a thing, you know, I just want to offload, and you offload and offload, and you're met with, well, you gotta do, and you
gotta
gotta
blah, blah,
change.
blah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you're in a space, that's the last thing that you want to hear. So
finding the outlets and framing in the beginning. And framing
Yeah.
is a tool we use in coaching, but framing is just a communication tool in general.
yeah, the moving part is huge.
Huge.
So many, and we recently just had a member join, and she's a massage therapist, and she goes beyond, and like just educating me and people around us in how like we hold stress within our bodies and like specific spots. Like if your hips, then you know maybe it's this, and if you're holding it in your shoulders, then maybe it's this, and if you're holding it in your neck, maybe it's this. And it's so interesting, and that could be even deeper. But she was talking to a member where the member was like, you know, sometimes I don't know what it is, I'll just be in this movement and like this release of like emotion, and I'll cry. And it has nothing to do with like I'm in pain, or it has nothing to do with this is hard, or I want to give up, or whatever it is. It's just like a release, and all of a sudden I'm like, and I've had that happen to me in like a yoga like
Yeah.
environment, and like this like moving, and like I wholeheartedly believe that that's a thing. So movement is medicine. My goodness.
Absolutely. And again, this is from I learned this recently from a psychotherapist, where twofold: if stressed, angry, feeling any sort of emotion that maybe is more in the disempowering realm, one thing that is going to immediately help that is movement, whether that's physical exercise, whatever that movement of choice. And the caveat, or the second thing, is create space. So creating space could be like, let's not make an emotional reaction or decision right now that, again, I might react or might be impulse, and let me create space. Because she referenced, like, from the geeked out perspective, like your prefrontal cortex isn't on at that point when these emotions are flooded and sensed.
Oh, wow.
And you need to like walk away. And a good reference here, she said, is you're good to go when you can give or take a joke again. But giving it space, even like a 20-minute walk, and come back and like give yourself time to calm down your nervous system, which is probably on edge, to recenter. So that's a really helpful tool.
I love that measure, that gauge of measure of like being able to take a joke again. Because
it's
like
simple.
I remember being in a really, really dark space and having days go by where I didn't laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was such a weird awareness to me, because
And what she would say, and better understanding your body now, is like your nervous system could be like just shut down, could be like fight or flight mode.
Yep.
And again, like going back to whatever that scenario is you're not ready yet. Brain body connection.
We don't know enough about our bodies. That is so fascinating to me.
Learning all the time. Some other self-care stuff, or like mental, learn to say no, and learn to say no and be okay with that. And that's kind of like drawing your own boundaries. I don't need to go out all the time. Someone invites me to do something, like, it's cool. Like I have, just personally, like I have strong boundaries around, like, you know, Friday to Sunday time is like family time, you know, and being really selective with giving that up or anything like that.
Yeah, being mindful of like your energy deposits, if somebody, even if like taking something on, you know, like.
Right? Excessive for yourself. Like what is that for you?
And that's not being selfish, you know. That was a hurdle for me, you know, if like someone's like, hey, can you man, like, you know, can you go
Blah, blah, blah.
like and pick something, right? You know, and it's, you just got done with a 9 or a 10-hour day, and that's the last thing you want to do is get in your car and drive and do something like that. Like, of course I would do anything for someone that, you know, a friend or someone that's in need, but again, just limiting it to where you're not overstepping your energy expenditure.
I'll share too, like maybe personal experience, some things that have worked really well for me. 2017, I began working with a woman, you know her. This was for me an outlet beyond any friend or my significant other. to really connect with someone who much more intelligent in the human psychology. You know, the term is life coach. It's not really.
That was 2017.
Yeah, since then, around that time frame. So I've been working with her for a while. So
Whoa.
I love this woman. We communicate every 2 weeks, and she has helped me through some of my most challenging, darkest times. And the biggest thing I think outside of that has helped me understand myself better, some of my core wounds from childhood and just stuff in general, helped me rekindle and improve my relationship with my father, through my navigating my own psychological hurdles and things I was setting up that were literally just sabotaging me. I was sabotaging me that I had to work through. But having someone, like some people, it's a therapist. You know, for me, it was this human has been super helpful. Another outlet was I have multiple mentors. I have like 2 or 3 in the business space. You know, we have a nutrition one. Just people to learn from and grow from and evolve from, and that's another thing. I actively, me personally, like I love the personal development space, arena, and will block off time always to learn, add tools, and this could be reading. A big one is writing. You know, there's a book that I read last year, and I've read it 3 times since, and every time I find something new, and you read it about yourself, like you're reading this book, but you're reading it about yourself. First time I didn't grasp that. Second time I did, and it was like, whoa. And then third time going through, just really extracting a lot of these gems. But working on self, setting intentions. Who do I want to, like, how do I want to show up today? You know, maybe there's reflection. Where were my shortcomings and what specifically led to that? So some introspection and reflection to set out some course. There's basics, sleep, you know.
I like
eating.
sleep, like resting.
Oh, I know you do, yeah. Like, and you. It's funny you say when you're not well, like sleep is the GOAT. It is like the thing, and that's when we really like dive in and respect it and appreciate it. Being consistent with movement and exercise, these things help.
Sure.
They are so important. Being consistent with nutrition, because the yo-yo of inconsistency in nutrition, stomach, brain, huge differences. Maybe this one, just being honest, learning how to be a little bit more vulnerable. And I don't mean you got to go pour your stuff out to the world, but finding the right places to say, hey, can I talk to you? This is really, like, I've been really struggling with this. Or whatever that may be. You know, everyone's got different outlets, but this arena is so important. The self side and learning about yourself and the way you operate and the way you think, and everybody's experiences are so different. There's no, you know, same one, you know. Do you have anything as we wrap up here that works well for you?
No, my goodness, we went deep today.
I love it.
I know you do.
I love
Actually, I did self-work before, but you are a big influence on that. Like, and I go through, it feels better to me to go through the waves of it. Like, if I'm feeling some things, go to the writing, listen to a podcast, maybe even be a little quiet. Like, I like to kind of like shut the stimulation off, like TV, radio, and just kind of like sit and like be with my own thoughts, maybe. But I like the no pressure that I give myself. Like, I'll do it kind of like when I need it, and then when I'm like feeling good, like maybe not having it be present or having it be focused. Look at that, I like the language. And it feels nice. It feels nice. I think I've gotten a good relationship with it over the years, you know.
Yeah. Maybe I'll end with this. These are a couple tools that I think are helpful, and I just shared this morning with a client of mine. One is language. We speak things and then they become our experience. So being mindful of the language, and that's first, it starts with awareness, right? Excuse me. It's very easily and accessible to all of us to reframe quickly. I'm so stressed. Saying that I embody stress. dot, dot, dot. Okay, actually, I'm feeling a lot of stress right now, and it's because da, da, da. And for me to feel better, I think if I start to break this down into what I need to do next, I'll start to work through it and feel better. Way different scenario, way different outcome. So just that simple tool of being mindful of the words we use, reframing something, and Sid off camera here, I referenced a book that I thought was super, super valuable called, from Byron Katie. What's the name of the book again, Sid? It's
Loving What Is.
Loving What Is. Sorry, it's slipping me. And really it's about questioning your thoughts. Questioning your thoughts. Holy cow. Say you experience something, you say something, you think something, and just going through her 4 questions and really just, is that true? Yes, absolutely. Can I know it's true? And just, man, that book was a game changer. But we digress.
You just woke her up. She was having puppy dreams. I heard her little mouth on the side was going.
Mila Rose, is it time to end the coaches chat?
Oh.
All right, my friends, episode 8, we went deep dive. I hope there were nuggets and gems and super valuable information in there for you guys. We loved, obviously, providing this here in this platform. You got any questions, topics, things you want to unpack, by all means, you can comment, you can message us wherever you find us, and we'll certainly go to town on those. Enjoy.
Yay. That's funny. She clapped.